In a way, okay, you'll also understand why we said that you will probably require 2.5 lakhs as your annual tech budget, right? So whom are you paying, when, and where is what we wanted to walk away with. Two, we will share a couple of tools. We hope that it'll help you A, reduce your cost, B, it'll also help you figure out how to budget. Now, if you have any questions, my request is please put it into the chat so that way we can answer it sequentially. I will pause at some point to kind of um, answer these questions. There's also a part where we will share a pricing calculator and we request you to actually do the costing yourself, right? So for your organizations, you can put in the numbers and you can look at the costs, right? If there is a burning question where you say, hey, I really need to know this, this is not clear, then like Krishna said, please raise your hand. We will quickly look at that. Okay, onward, right? A very, very basic, we'll cover the basics first. And here I would request a few of you to put in your responses on the chat window, right? You might have heard this term conversations. Any idea what a conversation is and what the difference between a conversation and messages are? If you could put in your responses on the chat window, it'll help. If there's somebody who wants to kind of just talk about it, that's also fine. Right? Is the question clear? What is a conversation? How is it different from messages? Is the messaging window open for everyone? Okay. First response by Bala. Conversation is message sent by us and responded to the user. Okay. Thank you. Gokul says conversations is all the interaction that happens for a 24-hour window after the user has responded, irrespective of whoever. Amisha, thank you, but that's the wrong answer. We do not consider that as the response for what a conversation is. But that was a very interesting bit of your conversation. Thank you. Right. Shubhra says conversations are two-way interactions. Messages can be one-way. Very interesting take. Conversation is like Gokul said, any number of messages exchanged between the user and the bot for a 24-hour window from the time the user has last responded. So let's say Gautam is the bot and let's say Krishna here is the user. Gautam sends Krishna a good morning message at 8 a.m. Krishna only wakes up at 12 p.m. and she sends a message at 4 p.m. after having her first cup of coffee. The conversation is window is open till 3:59 p.m. the next day, right? And let's say she responds to another message by Gautam the bot at 8 p.m. Then the conversation window is open till 7:59 p.m. the next day. Any confusions on this? Okay. In fact, I've given you the answer to the next question. How long does a conversation last? First three responses gets a prize. This is called cheating. Thank you, Suhail. Thank you, Bala. Thank you, Jobin. Thank you, Gokul. Right. Let's see if you can continue this thing. How will you communicate after the window closes? The answer is on the screen. Are Gokul. Fine. Gokul, I'm going to ban you from responding. Henceforth, please keep your camera on so that we know you're still on the call. Right. But how many of you have heard of this thing called as HSM? Okay, here's the next question. How does HSM work? Can you explain it to a 5-year-old? This one is a tough question. So whoever gets it, please send me, whoever gets it right, I'll ask you for your address and send you a cup of chai. Suhail, no, I want a proper explanation to a 5-year-old. Robin, fair response, pre-approved template from Meta. But then this is still a lot of keywords for a Gokul, you're banned, right? Uh, it is still a lot of jargon. A 5-year-old will not understand what a template is. Gokul, yes, definitely you are banned. I'll give one more chance to anybody else who wants to kind of take a shot at explaining HSM in the most simple way to a 5-year-old. Lindsay says broadcast messages like bulk messages. Okay, Fahad, you remind me of me in school where I wrote the questions in the exam paper because I didn't know what the answer was. I'm sure you're a smarter child than me. Um, cool. It's as simple as I think. Again, Bala, don't ever do that, right? It is basically a message which Facebook or Meta sees and where validates saying that this cannot be used to spam users. This is the only message which you can send to users when their conversation window closes. Typically, we encourage you to put in a call to action, like a continue button or something, so that when the user responds, the conversation window restarts. If the user does not respond to a HSM, the conversation window does not start. Now, here's a flip question. Let's say the conversation window is open, and let's say I'm going to use Manas as an example here. Or since Gaurav unmuted, Gaurav, you are my example. Gautam is the bot. The conversation window is open between Gautam and Gaurav. And Gautam sends Gaurav a HSM message. Will that still be counted as a HSM message or will it be counted as a normal message? Gaurav, what do you think?
Okay. Hey, hi Gautam. I just
Hey,
entered the room. I was in another meeting,
oops.
so I don't know what HSM is. I don't want to take a wild guess.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Thank you. Let me pick somebody else as an example. Lindsay, what do you think it is? So I'm repeating, Gautam, the bot sends a message to Lindsay when the conversation window, the 24-hour window is still open. Is that a HSM message or is it a normal message?
It's a normal message.
Why do you think so?
Because HSM message, what I understood is after the window, the 24-hour window closes, after that, so it's a pre-approved message from Meta where it's set and you need to send it out to your users, like, triggering them to then continue the conversation or
Mhm,
maybe reply to something or be active on the bot.
mhm,
With.
mhm. Fantastic answer. So if it is sent when the conversation window is open, it will just be treated like a normal message, right? So fantastic. This kind of covers the most basic part of the whole thing. One last question, which is a very vague question. Who pays for starting conversations? Is it the user or is it the bot? So will your users pay for using the bot? Thank you, Suhail. The users will not pay. It's always borne by the bot, right? This covers the basic. And you will see some of these terms being used throughout the slide or in the other places. So please remember this. Next, who is paying the most? Or whom do you pay the most, right? The slide says orgs you pay. So in your 2.5 lakh number, which we had given as a budget, there are 3 organizations you will end up paying: Google, Glific, and a combination of WhatsApp and Gupshup you can largely call as the messaging cost. Who do you think you'll end up paying the most? Is there a clue in the slide which answers that question? Jobin, I'm just going to ask you to interact. Is there any indicator?
Yeah, the slide is a graph.
Uh-huh. So
I
whom will you
think
pay?
it's the slide says that we will be paying more WhatsApp and Gupshup, like 68% of the cost.
Okay, fantastic observation. Is there anything else on the slide?
Oh, numbers are random. Okay.
Fantastic,
Oh, yeah, I just read
right?
that now.
One of the
Yeah.
reasons why I wanted to do it this way is that last time we spoke about dashboards and data, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, people see a graph and they take a call. They will not see the text. So I just thought it's a good chance for us to connect from the last time session. These numbers are random, but there are three organizations we all will pay in our interaction or in the usage of the chatbot: Glific, Google, and the combination of WhatsApp and Gupshup. Now, I will go to the next slide where we'll start understanding what we pay them for. Oops, this is interesting. Now, let's look at the combination of WhatsApp and Gupshup, which is basically what we call the messaging, right? WhatsApp will bill you for the first message in every conversation. That's it. I might send Krishna Priya 1,000 good morning messages, but WhatsApp will only bill me for the first one because the rest of them are during the conversation window. So WhatsApp will not care about the 1,000 messages I send to Krishna. Whereas Gupshup is very interested in each of the messages because they charge at a per message rate. Right? Second, for WhatsApp, depending on the type of the first message I sent, they will charge. Marketing message, if I have to send a good morning to Krishna, is good morning, Krishna. If you respond to me in the next 2 minutes, I will buy you a cup of chai. Marketing. Utility is, hey Krishna, continuing from our good night message yesterday night, I'm just going to wish you good morning and see when you're going to respond. Krishna will not respond, but that's a utility. So is the difference between marketing and utility clear? Anyone who has a question now can please raise your hand. This is very important. Cool. Service is basically continuing the conversation, right? So if Krishna responds or Krishna starts the conversation with me, I'm the bot here, Krishna is the user. It's a service message because she's starting the conversation. Now coming to, so WhatsApp. Yes, Manas. Do you want me
Hi,
to explain this
by
again?
the side.
Ishita. Hey, Ishita.
So I wanted to know. So I remember you guys emphasized on the fact that HSM message, whenever we send a message, needs to have an action button, and the user
Mhm,
needs to react to it. So
mhm.
essentially, all our bot messages would then be classified as marketing messages because we want the user to
Great,
immediately reply.
great. Let's go back to the example I said about how I'm going to message Krishna, right? Good morning. The first way of messaging Krishna is, hey Krishna, it's been so, hey Krishna, it's such a lovely morning. Do you want a cup of coffee? Right? Respond with a good morning. Right? The second message is, hey Krishna, just continuing from yesterday's conversation. Good morning. Are you up? Now, which one is marketing in this?
The first one,
Why?
because we are just registering the attention of the user.
Fair enough. What are we doing with the second one? Or why is the second one not a uh, marketing conversation?
Because then we are asking the user also to contribute to the conversation in some way. I mean, not just an action button, but something more.
So let's say the second message, thank you, Ishita. This is very, very important, right? And since we have time, I'm going to pick this up. The second one is going to say, hey, Ishita, continuing from yesterday, if you are awake, please press the button, and the button says good morning, right? And the first one says, hey, Ishita, such a lovely morning. Uh, you will earn a free cup of coffee if you hit the good morning message, and the button says good morning. Both of them have a good morning message, the button. What's the difference? Anyone here can answer. And the answer lies in the two words marketing and utility.
There's a product related to when you're saying that you can get a cup of coffee or chai.
Suhail got it spot on. The second one indicates a continuity. I said continuing from yesterday's good night message. If you're up, hit good morning. So utility is basically where you're using it. There's a purpose for it, right? You're saying I'm continuing the conversation. Whereas marketing makes it feel like you're starting it fresh, right? If you start fresh, you pay more. If you start with something which is like a continuation, it's less. So we'll go into that bit, but just remember marketing starts literally from scratch, whereas utility clearly calls out that this is continuation and starts from where they dropped off, right? So this is marketing versus utility. I'll continue with the rest of it because I think the hands-on part will make this very, very obvious, right? Now, Gupshup charges flat for every message. What the amount is, we will come to later. Right now, let's just get the concept right. So if you're going to start for the first message in every conversation, is there going to be a limit to how much you can charge? No. But for Gupshup, I've written this very vague message here saying 75,000 messages per month. What will happen after the 75,000 messages? Please guess in the chat box. Thank you, Suhail. That's one option. I'll take one more guess. Interesting idea, Ashwini. Facebook hasn't thought of that as yet, that the rates will change. They will basically do what Suhail said. Any number of messages you send after the 75,000 message is literally free, right? So you send 10 lakh messages, you pay for 75,000 messages. You send 1 crore messages, you still pay for 75,000 messages. But what happens if you just send 2 messages? What will happen? Oops, I don't know why my camera does that. Will you still have to pay for 75,000 messages or will you pay on actuals? Right? In the interest of time, I'll only tell you the answer is simple. You pay the actual. So let's say for each message you send, hypothetically, I, which is Gupshup, will charge 1 rupee. If I send 2 messages, I will charge you 2 rupees. Right? But anything which is after the 75,000 message will be free. So you send 10 lakh, whatever is the rate. By my math, 75,000 messages into 1 rupee becomes 75,000 rupees. So that's as fixed as it is. Right? Tejas?
You mean Gupshup won't charge for any messages after that 75,000?
Correct.
It
Gupshup will
doesn't
not
mean
charge.
it doesn't mean that it'll be free. WhatsApp will still charge money for each message after that, right?
WhatsApp will charge for the first message in the conversation. Great question, Tejas, and thank you for using this to clarify things. Let's say you are sending, and let's say just to make this simple, right? Let's say we have 75,000 users on the chatbot, and you send them all a good morning message. WhatsApp will charge, Gupshup will charge, right? Let's say they all respond back, right? So 75,000 messages are done. So this is on Monday. Let's say again on Wednesday, I will send a good morning message. WhatsApp continues to charge for 75,000 messages, but because you have crossed the 75,000 message limit for the month, whatever the users respond is free. Gupshup doesn't bill it, WhatsApp will bill it because it's a new conversation. We will continue this in greater detail further down. If you have any confusions, please put in a message saying confused so that we know that we'll bring this up again, right? WhatsApp will charge after the 24-hour window if the chat is continued. But if the user starts the conversation, Suhail, it is a very different. This will be confusing. but we will continue this. We'll bring this back up in the hands-on exercise. Where do you pay from? Only one place, your GovShop wallet, right? I will continue this so that we can come to the hands-on section quicker. Now, Google, very, very easy. What are the 4 things you'll pay Google for? A, all the images, the media, etc., which you are receiving from the users, which gets stored on Google, goes into your Google Cloud storage. Any attachments you guys are sending, stickers, photos, videos, voice notes, will get stored into your Google storage. So that's one reason why you'll pay Google. Second, BigQuery, right? Every time you run your dashboards, you're basically running a query on all the tables because all of your messages, your contacts, etc. are stored in your BigQuery, which is another product of Google, right? So every time you run it, there'll be a small charge. Again, you will be paying. This idea here is to understand what you're paying Google for, not the how much. So BigQuery and dashboards is another one. Third, if you are syncing with your Google Sheets, there's a very nominal rate for that. If you ever use Google Maps, you will pay for that. Any questions on the Google side? If you have questions, I'll give you 5 seconds to say yes. If not, we'll proceed. Okay, no questions. How to estimate your costs? I have shared a link on your chat window. I will request all of you to open the sheet. If you do not have access to it, please let me know and make a copy. You know how to make a copy, right? I'm going to stop sharing this screen so I can share the Google Sheet. Let me know once you can see the Google Sheet. Tejas, is the Google Sheet visible? I see people joining the sheet. Thank you. Let me explain how the sheet is structured while others are joining. Everything in yellow is where you can change the numbers, right? Number of messages you want, number of users you want to interact with in a month. You can put in a number here. Let's say I'm going to put 20,000, right? Number of times you're going to use a HSM to send a message to the user. Just imagine it as number of times you're going to start a conversation with the user in a month. It's very tough to usually estimate this. So just think about how many, like just imagine you want to remind them X number of times a month if they have not sent a response, right? So you just put in that number. You will not start a conversation with the user 100 times. Maybe it is just going to be 4. I'm going to assume once a week. So I'm going to put 4. Right? Number of times they will start, I'm just going to assume 2 times in a month, right? Number of months I want to budget for. Since I'm going to come up with an annual budget, I will put the number here. So since I want an annual budget, I will leave it with 12. Now for your information only section is purely for your information, right? Now what's the cost to send the user a marketing message? Marketing messages, hey Shita, good morning. If you're awake and want to get like a fresh cup of coffee, please press the button below which says good morning. That's a marketing message. This is in paisas, right? This is basically a conversion from a USD. How much is it? It is close to 90 paisa for a marketing message. Now, if I'm going to send her the utility message, hey Shita, we want to continue from yesterday's conversation. If you're awake, please let me know. And the button says good morning. What is the rate? Can someone type the rate in the chat window so that I know that the number is visible? Thank you, Manas. It is basically close to 12 paisa. So you can see the cost difference between a marketing message and a utility message. One is 90 paisa, one is 12 paisa. It's basically 78 paisa difference. Now, what is the cost if the user sends a service message, which is basically them starting the conversation. And someone just typed the message apart from Manas. Great. Thank you, Aishwarya. 34 paisa. Please remember this. This is just for you to know. Right now, we go into the cost calculator. Now, for Glific, the rates are primarily fixed, right? One-time setup fee. All of you have paid the one-time setup fee, so I'm just going to make this 0, right? Now, every month you will pay 9,500 rupees, unless you're going to go in for what we call as the annual subscription, which is specially available only for you guys from September. So if you're going to pay the annual subscription, right, two things will happen. As this note says, you will get 1 month free. So you will only pay for 11 months, not for 12 months. And two, because you're an accelerator organization, we are charging you 7,500 rupees, not 9,500. But this is only if you go in for the annual subscription. So we'll see the cost benefit of this later, right? This is clear. Next, Google. We have not seen the highest bill I've ever seen, only for sheets, dashboards, storage, is 6,000 rupees a month. And this was somebody who was refreshing the dashboard every 15 seconds. I've never seen a bill higher than that. Typically, average bills I've seen is give or take around 1,000 rupees, right? Since it is per cost, and since all of you got the first 3 months free, thanks to the free credits you got, I'm only budgeting for 9 months. Later, you can make this 12. So you will pay 4,000 rupees. That's an explanation here. Next, the WhatsApp and the Gupshup wala messaging charges. I told you about a 7,500 rupee fixed rate, right? Now, if you click on the cell B24, you will see a long formula. If basically you're sending anything more than 75,000 messages, your rate per month is fixed, which is USD 75. So you will only pay 6,300 rupees after conversion at the current rate. So you send 1 million message, you pay 6,300 rupees. You send 10 million messages, you still pay 6,300 rupees. You send 2 messages, it will be billed at 0.001 USD, which is about 8 paisa. So you will pay 16 paisa. Right? This is going to be confusing, but follow on. If you have any questions, we'll answer it. I hope that you're doing these calculations on your own sheet. If you have any issues with the sheet, please message on the group. Somebody from the team, Aishwarya, Tejas, Krishna, will help you out with it if you cannot access the sheet. Then comes the WhatsApp business initiated messages, which is marketing, right? We told you that the marketing rates are higher, right? So if I'm going to message 20,000 users 4 times in a month at close to 90 paisa per message, I will have to pay 71,904 rupees for that month. If the user sends 2 messages, right, to the bot, then basically the first 1,000 messages are free. So you won't have to pay. If all 20,000 users actually send the message, then the number will be slightly different. We will come to that, or your sheet should reflect it. Now, any questions so far? I'll quickly clarify, else I'll go into the more important parts. Any questions, please unmute and ask. Any questions, please unmute and ask, because it's important for you to understand this. Great question, Suhail. GST is not included. There should be a cell which clearly indicates that yes, taxes are applicable. T13. I'm just going to randomly call 3 people to do a check. If you have questions, first person I'm going to call is Ashwini from Labhya. Ashwini, do you have any questions so far?
No questions so far for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person I'm going to call is Fahad. Fahad, any questions so far?
For now, it's fine, but like I'm still going through the sheet.
Perfect.
Something like
Thank
I'll
you.
put some chatbot. Sorry, like
Please.
chatbots.
Perfect. Thanks, Fahad. Next person I'm going to call is Shubhra.
Yeah, I got them. No questions
Okay.
so far. Thank you.
Great. Last bumper consolation, Muraji. Any questions so far?
No, but if in our case, if user is initiated the message, then GovSub charge will be 0.80 per message.
How many users do you have, Muraji, in a month?
Assume around 1,000.
1,000. Okay. Okay. And let's assume how many times will the user start the message with you in a month?
6 times.
6 times in a month, right? What was your question?
GovSub charges and WhatsApp charges.
Great question. Great. There is a small mistake with the formula. So basically, what will happen is that 6 times the user is going to send, and yeah, sorry, I think that's where
6 conversation per month.
6 conversation. How many messages will be there in a conversation?
Around 20 per conversation. 20 to
20. Great. Right. I'm just going to assume 20 messages in a conversation. So in one conversation, the user, right, will have 20 messages. So since they're going to start, since you have 1,000 users exchanging 20 messages per conversation, that's 20,000 messages. If they do it 6 times in a month, you're looking at 1,20,000 messages. So obviously you will be, how much will you be paying? What's the maximum you'll be paying to GovShop?
75.
Correct. How much is it in Indian rupees?
It is INR. It is in INR.
Correct. What's the amount in INR?
I think 75,000 is in INR.
If it is 75 USD at 84 rupees, you will be paying a maximum of 6,300 rupees for that. How many messages are you sending in actual? 1,20,000. Right? How did we come up with that number? You have 1,000 users who are sending it, who are starting conversation 6 times. So you're looking at 6,000 conversations. Every conversation has 20 messages. So you are looking at 20 into 6 into 1,000, which is 1,20,000 messages. How much are you paying for? You are only paying for 75,000 messages, which is 6,300 rupees. Right? Any questions so far?
No, in our case, HMS messages are not required. Suppose that everything is started by user, then
Okay.
then it is not necessary to initiate with HSM. Different from
Since you're not sending any HSM message, right? Since the users are the only ones who are going to be initiating the message, your HSM cost or your WhatsApp initiated cost will be 0.
Okay.
Right? Second is when it comes to service messages, I said that the first 1,000 messages are free. Since they'll be sending 6,000 messages, you will have to pay for 5,000 messages, right? Which is going to be, I'll update the sheet and send it back to you guys. So you will have to pay 5,000 into this, which is 1,680 rupees for the month plus taxes. Right? Sorry guys, there seems to be a small error with the formula. I will recheck the thing and tag you guys. So then you know that it's working. Now, I had initially brought out a difference between utility messages and your marketing messages. I just want to highlight what will be the implications of that. So let's say I'm going to send the bot is going to initiate conversations with users 4 times a month, right? What is the rate if it is a marketing message? It is 90 paisa. What is the rate if it is a utility message? It is 12 paisa. So let's say I'm going to send 4,000 messages because 1,000 users 4 times a month, right? If I'm going to send 4,000 marketing messages, I will pay close to 3,595 rupees a month if it is marketing. However, if it is utility, right, then you only have to pay 470 rupees per month. I will pause. If you have any questions on this marketing versus utility, I will take them now.
What is the difference between marketing and suppose that if board is started because we are now NGO sector for social cause. If board start, then it assume it is marketing.
So if the bot starts based on the content, it will decide what it is, right? If you are indicating a continuity in the conversation, saying, hey, for example, Amar, I have not heard from you since last Monday. Do you want to continue the conversation from where you stopped? Yes, no. Right? Then that is clearly a utility conversation. You will still have to pay because you're messaging after the conversation has ended, which is the 24-hour window, but you'll be paying 12 paisa for the first message. However, if you're sending something like, hey, Amar, do you want to continue this conversation? Press the right button. Yes, no. Right? That will be counted as a marketing because there's no clear understanding if you're continuing the conversation from the past or if Amar is a new user. Does this clarify the question?
Yes.
Right? Please. So you will see the massive difference between how much you're paying if you're going to send marketing messages versus utility messages. For marketing, you'll pay close to 3,600 rupees for 1,000 users getting the message 4 times a month. If it is utility, you are only paying 470 rupees, which is literally a fraction. Next, I'll quickly go here. We had said in the accelerator sign-up mail that if you decide to go for the annual package, right, annual subscription charge, this time you'll be paying only 7,500 rupees per month instead of 9,500 rupees, right? So your effective savings only through this, right? Okay, so the formula takes care of this is instead of paying 1,04,500 rupees, you're only paying 82,000 rupees. So you're basically saving 22,000 rupees if you decide to go for the annual subscription this time. If you have any questions, I'll quickly take this. Suhail had a good question saying, does the charge vary basis dollar variation? Yes, but we have factored in 84 rupees per dollar. So should have you covered for some time. But if the dollar touches 90 rupees, then yes. Again, please expect the corrected sheet in your mail at the end of today's call. If you have any questions, I will take them now. Else I'll go back to the presentation. Or let me just go back to the presentation. And these are very important parts. how do you reduce cost? Can you reduce cost? There are 3 ways we have seen you can actually reduce cost. One, in the email, we're going to send you a blog link contributed by one of our users called the Apprentice Project. It was a very smart use of ChatGPT, where they gave the parameters for what is a utility message. And then they said, ChatGPT, we want to send this message. Using these parameters, can you draft message and give us 3 choices? All right. And the success rate they saw to getting like a HSM template approved as a utility was very high. So we'll send you the link. It's there in our blog. If you want to find it before the end call ends, you can go to our blog and find it. Else, please wait for the mail immediately after the call. You can find the hack there. 2, you can encourage your users to start building a habit where you clearly say every Wednesday, 6 p.m. there's a new content. Every Wednesday, 6 p.m. if you continuously send us messages like on time Wednesdays at 6 p.m., whatever, you'll get badges, certification, rewards, whatever you want, a gamification logic. You might be able to build the habit where users start the conversation. Right? And last thing is, like the other organization, do not refresh your dashboards every 15 seconds. Refresh it once a day, once an hour, only when you need it. You will definitely end up with significant savings. Now we are open for any questions. Please feel free to ask all the questions you have. Great. Suhail has a question saying, what is a suspended account? Let's say you say, hey, Glific, months of September, October, November, or let me just make it fictional, right? Let's say after 3 months of using, you say, hey, Glific team, I don't think I'll be using the bot for next 3 months. I and my whole team have been selected for a fellowship, and we're all, let's say, going to Iceland. So we can't use the bot. We will not be able to add any content. We do not want the users to use our bot. So then you can put into something called a suspended, where you will only pay 1,500 rupees. Your number will be active, your bot will be active, but users will not be able to engage with. That's suspension. Now we have something called as forced suspension, where if you do not pay us on time, we will put your bot into suspension till you continue or renew the subscription. So that's suspension.
Before we take up more questions, GP, I can quickly push up poll. So can you all please share your feedback ताकि we can improve हमारा next webinars for you. I'll just quickly share. It'll hardly take you 2 minutes. Yeah. Meanwhile, you can ask questions.